Hello and welcome to the Jake Timberlane podcast show. Hey, I was watching a local cable channel and I saw this guy fishing with the spinning reel on top. Anyway, they posted the video online and he got a lot of bad comments saying this guy doesn't know how to fish. He's fishing with the spinning reel on the top. So I thought, man, this guy's sure being bullied and everything. So I felt sorry for the guy. So I contacted the cable people and they gave me his information. I contacted him and I said, hey, you want to be on the Timberlane Films? You want your own fishing show? I kind of felt sorry for him. So I brought him aboard tonight for this podcast. So I'm here to let you hear his story. So let's welcome the real rebel. Here he is. Hey, it's the real rebel. How you doing? So I basically told our audience what happened, how I found you on the cable channel, and I contacted them, and they told me who you were and everything. And tell us your story. Why do you fish with the reel on top?
Well, it's just the way I've fished with it ever since I was a kid. I know everybody tells me not to fish that way, but Jake, I gotta say it's really a better way to fish. No, nothing else to say about that.
Yeah, because I noticed on all the comments and everything, and everyone said you were doing it wrong. So what do you say to those people?
You know what, Jake? It's just a marketing gimmick. Here's the thing. These reels, I did some research. Spin reels were invented in the mid 1950s. Now, prior to spin reels, all other types of fishing reels were fished on the top of the reel.
Yeah.
So what happened was when Mitchell came out with a new style, they didn't want to make it like all the other reels that were out there in the market. They wanted to make it seem different. So they created this marketing gimmick that, hey, our reel's different because you fish it on the top. And Jake, I actually went back and looked at the patent for the spin reel in the 1950s. Nowhere in the patent does it say that you're supposed to fish with it on top. It just says the reel shall be affixed to the pole, but it doesn't say anywhere in the text that it doesn't tell where to fish. So I figured rather than believing the marketing gimmicks that go back to the 1950s, I figured out, I said, I'm going to figure out the easiest way to use it. And Jake, it is easier to use it this way. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So anyway, you started the show on Timberlane Films and you're doing your own fishing show now, but I noticed your appearance kind of changed. Is it because all the money you're making now, or what's going on with that? You have a new look. You have a different look.
Well, I know. Here's what happened, Jake. It was your brother's influence, Steve-O, who's the series producer for Timberlane, for Real Rebel. Well, we'd be out there filming, and in between takes, he'd be playing this rock music, and I never really cared for rock music, and I kind of got into it, and so Jake started. Not Jake. Your brother Steve-O started working in more of this rock part. I was kind of getting into the rock music, and I was feeling kind of rebellious about doing this. I always have, because everybody, mostly online bullying is what I get about doing it, fishing on the top. Everybody says I'm not supposed to. So yeah, I did feel kind of that rebelliousness rocker vibe, and your brother kind of played on that, I think, in his production. And I like the rock music. Yeah,
because I remember we were bringing the film crew some lunch that day, and I remember there was all these people gathered around you like you were some kind of rock star, and I go, boy, this guy sure looks a lot different than when we discovered him. Because you were kind of like, your appearance changed a lot. You look a lot different. So I guess you're having a good time. You were blasting your rock and roll, and you were fishing, and you were having a great time. And you had a lot of fans watching you. They were you were like a rock star. I couldn't believe how how that worked out. But we did prove it though. Huh? We brought a scientist in, and the scientists examined your theory about fishing with the reel on top. And it kind of got proved. It got proved.
Yeah, that's right. I appreciate you doing that too, Jake. I always knew it was a better way to fish, but when you hired that scientist to prove it, kind of validated. I kind of hopefully kept those other fishermen quiet who keep trying to tell me, hey, you're supposed to fish with it on the bottom. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that I wonder if they would admit like, hey, they were wrong all these years, but they probably won't because they're kind of stuck in their own ways. I mean, it'd be like you
Well,
trying to say, hey, real rebel, fish with the reel on the bottom, and yeah, so it kind of works both ways. I mean, you wouldn't
well,
admit
yeah,
it.
Jake,
Yeah,
I want to clear up. I'm not telling anybody how to fish. I'm not telling people in my series that you're supposed to fish with it on the top or the bottom. My point is, don't tell people how to fish.
yeah,
You're not right. It's an individual experience. I cultivated my own way of fishing, in my opinion,
yeah,
and it's proven by the scientists it's an easier way to fish. Now, someone wants a little more challenge. They may want more challenge when they're fishing. The reel's harder to access and everything else on the bottom. Jake, if you ever brought somebody on board, I'd love to debate them, because every debate I've heard, it's all been on online debates.
yeah,
None of them hold up. None of the debates hold up. I've had people tell me, well, the rods are designed for the reel to be on the bottom, not to the top. Okay, I counter with that. What about bait cast reels? A lot of these rods can either have a bait cast reel, which always fishes on the top, or a spin reel. So
yeah.
that, I can basically dismantle any argument that is brought forth to me about why people say you're supposed to fish with the bottom. The main argument I always get is, oh, that's the way they say you're supposed to. That's the main argument I always get, and that's the way they were raised.
That's the
So
way they were raised, and they can't get out of that. And then same way it
yeah.
goes with you. You can't get out of it because that's how you were raised. Everyone has their own way of doing things, right? It's their own way.
Well, I've tried the different ways. I've tried it on the bottom, and I gotta honestly say, it's just harder to use it. It's
Yeah,
harder to
yeah,
access the reel. Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't want to go into it now. We go into it in the show with your, episode 2, where we go deeply into the benefits.
yeah,
There's a lot of benefits on the tension, on the line, on the rod, access. When you're playing a fish, you have easier access to all this stuff you need to be working on
yeah.
while
It's
you're
right
fighting
there.
a big
Yeah,
fish. Yeah, rather than below, and you're struggling to get to it. So, I don't want to go into
yeah.
that. If anybody wants to see that, just go check out Real Rebel episode 2, and the scientist goes over all that, all the
And,
benefits.
and I want to let the audience know that we have all our videos on Timberlane Films, and Real Rebel is featured on there. In fact, we're going to play a clip of Real Rebel right after we leave with him. But I want to thank everyone for joining in. And if you want to check out Real Rebel's films on Timberlane Films, he's on there. And if anyone wants to challenge you, that'd be great, for, figuring all this out with the reel and everything. But anyway, I'm going to play the clip for you after this. And I want to thank you for joining us today, Real Rebel. And hey, I hope to see you this weekend. We're going to have that picnic, huh?
Yeah, Jake, you sure treat all of us well here in Timberlane Films. The whole crew, man. Thanks, man.
All right. So you have a good weekend. Okay. I'll see you Sunday. We're going to go at 2:00, aren't we? Yeah. 2:00. Is that?
Hey,
That's
you want to do a little fishing afterwards, Jake?
yeah. And I'll try
Maybe
to
next
fish with
hole
the,
for you.
yeah, I'll fish with the reel on top. All
That's the
right.
only way to fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Well, we'll talk to you later, Real Rebel.
You got it. Thanks, Jake.
All right. Goodbye. All right. Well, so that was the Real Rebel, and we're going to check out his video right now. So here it is, everybody, and have a great weekend.
And now here he is from the Timberlane Film Studios, the man who refuses to back down and continues to fish his own way with the fishing reel on top. The Real Rebel. He's a maverick. He fishes his own way with the fishing reel on top. He doesn't buy fishing weights. He makes his own out of mussel shells. He doesn't need any waders when he fishes. He's a maverick. He pioneered a new way of fishing, reel on top.
With the fishing reel on top. Timberlane Films has rocked the world of fishing. The Real Rebel!
He fishes with the reel on top.